My name is Jane Havens, and I am the owner and founder of both Center for Pediatric Sleep Management, which is an online sleep consultant certification program, and also Snooze Fest by Jane Havens, where I work with families. Today, we are going to talk about how and why to add sleep consulting to your postpartum work and your postpartum business. I would love for you guys to stay till the very end if you're able. I do have an offer to share with you guys at the end of this training. If you have to hop off, you will be sent the recording later. Okay, so again, I'm Jane Havens. I have been doing this work as a sleep consultant. I've been supporting families for about 13 years. I've been getting paid for it for about 8 or 9, I think. And the reason I got into this work is because I sleep trained my own son when he was 4 months old. And initially, he was a really great sleeper. He was sleeping really, really long stretches as a newborn. And then somewhere around 4 months, he hit that sort of classic 4 month sleep regression and went from basically sleeping through the night to waking up every single hour. And as a brand new first time parent, I had no idea what was going on and why that was happening. And so this was before Facebook groups. This was before a lot of the resources that we have available to us now. I literally went to Barnes and Noble and sat on the floor and was like going through all the baby books to try and figure out what was going on. And long story short, I implemented some sleep training and I taught him how to fall asleep on his own. And it was really sort of transformative for my family. He went from waking hourly to sleeping through the night, and it drastically improved my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my baby. All of a sudden, I was enjoying motherhood again. And it really made me want to dig in deeper and to figure out why this was so hard for so many moms and how I could get out there and help people. And so that's a little bit about my story. I created Center for Pediatric Sleep Management back in 2019. And I'll go into a little bit later why I decided to do that and sort of like all the benefits of Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. But what I really want to talk with you guys about first is sort of like my connection with the postpartum world. I can't remember exactly where I connected with the first sort of like doula or newborn care specialist. But from the moment that I made that very first connection, I realized that sleep consulting was actually a perfect complement to the work that you guys are already doing. And what I now know to be true is that adding sleep consulting to your doula business will position you to grow. What I've seen is that doulas and newborn care specialists who are adding sleep consulting to their repertoire or to their toolkit are earning a higher hourly rate in their work. They're getting more rest on the job. This is something I might dig into later because a lot of doulas and newborn care specialists who are coming to me are doing so because they're just exhausted. They are sort of like working long hours, going from contract to contract, never getting a true full night of rest. And some of that I think is just working so many hours. And some of it is that the babies aren't necessarily sleeping well on their contracts. And if we can teach doulas and newborn care specialists how to establish healthy and independent sleep hygiene for the babies that you're supporting, this will position you to get more rest on the job, have more longevity, really be positioned to like not burn out in your work. I've also noticed that when you are well positioned to teach the babies that you're supporting how to sleep longer stretches, this leaves the families that you're working with feel like they are set up for success long term. I think that this is truly what leads to referrals and makes your business grow. The last thing that I want to mention here in sort of like why it makes sense to add sleep consulting to your doula or NCS business is that it positions you to support families virtually. I'm going to go into this more later, but I love the idea of helping people like you guys transition some of your work, not necessarily all, but some of your work from in person, hourly, trading time for dollars type of income to working from home, supporting families from your cell phone, taking a call from the parking lot at Target, right? Like this is way more flexible and allows you to travel, take a vacation with your family and not say, "Oh, I can't earn any money for the next week because I'm on this trip with my family." My goal for today is to help you understand why sleep consulting is really like an amazing complement to the work that you're already doing, and how CPSM, Center for Pediatric Sleep Management, can position you to grow your business in really new and amazing ways. One of the problems that I'm seeing is that doulas and NCSs love their work, but they're feeling physically exhausted and burnt out. I'm noticing that this is happening in 3 to 5 years or less. If anybody wants to like put in the comments how many years you've been doing this work and like, are you feeling the burnout? Are you feeling like I cannot do this sustainably long term? Okay, so Jordan's saying, oh, burnout started at 3 years. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm hearing is that doulas somewhere between the 3 and 5 year mark, they start to feel this serious burnout where health is compromised, both physical health and then also mental and emotional health is sometimes compromised. And this isn't great for the industry, and it's also not great for the families that you guys are supporting, right? Because the work that you all do as postpartum professionals is so important and so valuable and so needed. But when everybody's so burnt out, nobody's getting like you guys aren't getting the satisfaction out of the work, the families are getting tired postpartum professionals, and it's not great for the industry. I also noticed that when you're working shift work, your income is capped by the number of hours worked, right? So at a certain point you start to feel like you're charging the most that you really can charge given where you live. Maybe you're working the most hours that you can work before you start to feel like I don't have any time for myself or I don't have any time for my family. And there's really no other way to make any more money. In my eyes, there are ways to make other money, additional income, but you really have to shift the way that you're showing up in your business, right? If you're committed to trading hours for dollars, you're always going to cap out at a certain number. And when you start putting into place consulting on some level, it doesn't need to replace your doula work or your NCS work, but if it can sort of weave its way in, it does position you to make more money without putting more hours in, especially not more hours in person. The last thing that I've noticed that seems problematic in your industry is just like having to work in other people's homes all the time and how that takes away from time spent in your own home with your own family, right? And the work that you do again is so important and it's so special and it's so necessary. But when we're working so many hours in other people's homes and we don't have enough time to recharge and connect with our loved ones in our homes, I think that really creates a situation that's not really sustainable long term. I want to talk really quickly about what sleep consultants do because some of you may not really be totally familiar. So I'm going to give you a rundown. Sleep consultants support parents through the process of establishing healthy and independent sleep habits for their kids. You know, it's not just sleep training, that's part of it. And we can go into what that means. Sleep training, I think, sometimes feels like a little bit of a dirty word or a phrase that some parents or professionals are not really comfortable with. I personally am comfortable with it, but it's okay if you're not. Sleep training just means that we're teaching babies or toddlers or preschoolers or big kids how to fall asleep independently. That's all it means. For a baby who's used to being nursed to sleep, maybe we start by rocking them to sleep, or maybe we put them down and give some back rubs or tushy pats. Maybe we put them down and give them some time to try on their own. It can be implemented gradually, it can be implemented quickly. It's just teaching a baby or a young child how to fall asleep and back to sleep independently. Sleep consultants are mostly working virtually. There's definitely room for in-home support if that's what you want to continue doing, but a lot of us do provide virtual support. It's a little bit less hands-on, it's more strategic, and as I said, it can be done from anywhere. I live in Baltimore, Maryland, and most of my clients actually don't live locally to me, which is wonderful. My clients live up and down the East Coast, and people share my name all across the country and even abroad, which is really wonderful because it expands your reach. You're not limited to sort of that 30-minute radius that maybe you're willing to drive early in the morning or late at night. The other thing that's really great about sleep consulting is that you get to choose what the work looks like. Inside of our CPSM community, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more later, we have postpartum professionals, we have teachers, we have nurses, we have stay-at-home parents, and depending on their work life or their home life responsibilities, their businesses might look wildly different. I want to really quickly share what it looks like to be a sleep consultant from my perspective, like what it looks like for me to run my business. And of course, this is just one example. It's not what everybody's business looks like, but if you decide to do this work, it's a really good place to start. So I am supporting parents 100% virtually. I never go into their homes. Even if they're local to me, I treat them the same if they live in Baltimore or if they live in New Jersey. It makes no difference. Parents start by reaching out to me and maybe they schedule a call to make sure that working together is a good fit. I call that my free discovery call. It's a quick 15-minute call. And assuming it's a good fit to work together, they would go to my website and pay. I charge $750 for this 2-week consultation. And once they pay on my website, they fill out a questionnaire that asks them all sorts of questions about their child, the child's sleep environment, their daytime schedule, their bedtime routine. Are they being fed in the middle of the night? For older children, I'm asking, are they potty trained? Are they nighttime potty trained? How much screen time are they watching? So there's a whole questionnaire that they fill out. I'm also collecting some of this information on the discovery call, but not all of it. So the questionnaire will sort of catch anything that I didn't think to ask or that they didn't think to share. Once I gather all of this information, then I am writing a written plan for them. And the plan will outline, again, like an age appropriate daytime schedule with guidance on naps and feedings. It'll outline a really solid bedtime routine. And then typically I like to present all of the age appropriate methods for teaching a baby or a child how to fall asleep independently. So I am not sort of pushing my agenda onto parents. I am not telling them this is the best way to do it or this is my way to do it. I'm giving them all of the age appropriate options, explaining it, getting onto a phone call, and landing on a strategy that aligns with their parenting style and that feels safe and comfortable for them. And so I answer all of their questions, make sure we feel ready to go. And then they have my support via text message for 2 weeks. The way that I work is I provide text message during the hours that I'm awake. So generally speaking, I'm available for my clients anywhere from about 7 or 7:30 in the morning until about 9:30 at night. I put my phone on silent when I go to sleep so that I'm not being woken up in the middle of the night by text messages. And all of my support is provided during the daytime. So I support them through bedtime and then they handle middle of the night on their own. And then we circle back around the next morning and I'll coach them through naps if that's appropriate or necessary. I spend 2 weeks with them and then we do a wrap up phone call at the end of our time together. And usually the wrap up phone call is an opportunity to talk about travel, illness, teething, anything that they might be wondering about or worried about for down the road. And my goal is to really leave them feeling empowered and set up for success so that they don't need me again. Now, I do have families that have hired me 2, 3, 4 times. I do have some frequent flyers. I would say that most of the time, the families that are hiring me over and over again are for different children or for different circumstances. So I might support a parent when their baby is 6 months old, and then at 2.5, they're climbing out of the crib. Or I might support a family 3 times, each time when their baby is 5 or 6 months old. Some parents just really benefit from the support, even though they've learned from me how to implement sleep training, they've learned how to set up a good schedule for their baby. I do think that it's less about the information and more about the handholding, accountability, and support. So I do find parents come back over and over again with either second or third children, or just like with new circumstances arise. In addition to supporting families for my 2-week virtual consultation, I also offer an Ask Me Anything call. This is a 30-minute phone call. It's literally just quick advice, and I charge $145 for that phone call. Those phone calls happen anywhere, anytime. I take them from my car, I take them from my kitchen table, I take them while driving. Usually, the families that are booking Ask Me Anything calls are actually repeat clients. So I've worked with them for 2 weeks, and then maybe a few months later, they hop onto my calendar for a call. Right before this Zoom today, I just actually did a 30-minute Ask Me Anything call for a family that I supported through sleep training at, I think, like 4 months. And now the baby's 6 months. He just started daycare, and naps are really hard for him at daycare. So mom wanted to discuss what she can do to support him through this transition. So while I am providing 100% virtual support, what I notice is that a lot of postpartum professionals that are getting into sleep consulting are doing something that I would call a hybrid model. I think it's because they're so used to being hands-on, and you're so used to like being there with the baby and providing like actual physical support in person, that it feels really hard to just shift completely to virtual support. Maybe that feels foreign for postpartum professionals. So, what I've noticed a lot of doulas and NCSs are doing when they get into sleep consulting is they're doing what I call a hybrid model, where maybe they do 2 or 3 nights in person and then they pivot to a virtual support package after that. What I love about this for postpartum professionals is that if you have gaps in your schedule, so let's say you have a 12-week contract and then you have a couple of weeks and then you have another 8-week contract, when you have those gaps in your schedule where maybe you don't have enough time to take on like a full in-person postpartum contract, you do have time to just like go 2 or 3 nights or 3 or 4 nights and kick it off with a family in person before you pivot to virtual. And that gives you enough time to support them fully and to set them up for success, but not like overload yourself while you're trying to take a little break in between contracts. So a lot of postpartum professionals are doing that, and I think it's, I don't know, I think it's great. I've also thought about doing it myself, and then I always end up passing those in-person opportunities to others, because as much as you guys prefer to be hands-on, I personally prefer to be hands-off. So you get to run your business however you like. We talked a little bit about what sleep training really is, teaching a baby or toddler or preschooler to fall asleep independently. I want to clarify that sleep training is not night weaning. Sleep training and night weaning are two very different things. A lot of what I hear from doulas and newborn care specialists who are hesitant to get into this world of sleep support is that, like, babies are still hungry, babies need to eat in the middle of the night. Working on independent sleep skills does not mean that you don't feed a baby in the middle of the night if they still need or maybe even want to be fed. Those are two totally different things. A lot of parents who I work with are still nursing and they want to continue to nurse in the middle of the night, and that's okay. I just wrapped up with a little 7-month-old who was waking, between 6 and 8 times in the middle of the night, was taking horrible naps. And by the end of our 2-week contract, we got him to the point where he was falling asleep beautifully and confidently on his own. He'd wake up once in the middle of the night, somewhere between like 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning, and nurse, and then be put back down and go to sleep until like 6:30 or 7 in the morning. And that family was so happy with the results. They wanted to keep that nursing session in the early morning hours. I'm not here to tell them otherwise. I always say to my clients, like, your goals are my goals. So if you want to continue to feed your baby in the middle of the night, if you think he needs that or wants that, and that's the way that you want to support him, again, totally fine. We just want to make sure that parents are learning the difference between a baby who just wishes they were asleep and a baby who is truly hungry or in need of a feed. Right. And so that's something that we work on with families. And I encourage everybody inside of the CPSM community to really meet families where they are and help them to achieve their goals rather than us sort of imparting our goals on them. As far as how you go about sleep training babies, There's a wide range of approaches, and I want to emphasize that Center for Pediatric Sleep Management practices or we teach what I would like to call a client-led approach, which means that inside of the program, you're going to learn all methods and techniques, everything from a really sort of gradual and parent-present approach to working on independent sleep, all the way through extinction and everything in between. Whether you believe in it, whether you don't believe in it, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, I think it's actually really important to learn about it. There are a lot of misconceptions around sleep training, and getting education on the topic, I think, is most important so that you can make an educated decision for yourself about how you want to support families. And the beautiful thing about consulting is that you get to decide how you want to support families. You get to decide what sorts of families you want to support and who your ideal client is. And if there's ever a case that doesn't feel like the right fit for you or your coaching style, you'll have a whole community that you can refer out to if it doesn't feel like a case that's right for you. I would say that this is like one of the main reasons that postpartum professionals really do enjoy Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. I think that our philosophy is very much aligned with the work of a postpartum professional. We are client centered, we are meeting families where they are, we're coaching them through methods that align with their parenting style while providing information and support. And I think at the end of the day, that's exactly what you guys are doing as well. A lot of the time, postpartum professionals will ask me, like, so, okay, like, I want to do this. How do I find clients? Where am I going to find sleep clients? And what I say to you all is that you already have the clients. If you are already supporting families in that postpartum period, you have sleep clients. A few things. Number one, bring your knowledge of sleep to your postpartum work. This will position you again to be better postpartum professionals, get these babies sleeping better. This gets you better referrals, it gets you a higher hourly rate. All of that is just going to help you in your postpartum business. But these families are also going to, at some point, probably struggle with sleep down the road, right? Even if you are so good at sleep shaping these babies and you leave a 12-week contract and your little babies are sleeping through the night, chances are, somewhere around 4 months, 5 months, maybe they start rolling, maybe they learn to pull to stand, maybe they get sick or they start daycare. Something might happen that leads parents to really be in the position where sleep has unraveled. And who are they going to call? They're going to call their postpartum doula or their newborn care specialist, because you are already there. Besides the pediatrician, you are their most trusted advisor, and you're most certainly the most trusted support person outside of, grandparents and close relatives, right? That you have already developed that relationship and that trust factor with them. And so when they are struggling with their child, they are going to reach out to you, especially if you've already told them that you do this work, right? So this positions you to support families again and again, even after you've left their home. And, I always like to share, like, if you're working in home with, let's say, the Smith family, and you get a call from the Robinson family, even if you're booked with the Smith family, you can still support the Robinson family virtually and help them establish healthy sleep hygiene while you're on a postpartum job, right? You can't do that if you're only supporting families in person. You can only be one place at a time. But if you're providing virtual consulting and virtual support, you can support multiple families at a time, and you can support them while you are on an existing job. In addition to getting clients from your former postpartum clients, I also think that referrals from other doulas who aren't interested or comfortable with coaching parents in this way is hugely valuable. There are lots and lots of doulas who are really, and newborn care specialists who are really, really passionate about confident and independent sleep habits, healthy sleep hygiene, independent sleep habits. And then there are also postpartum professionals that really aren't interested in that. And so connecting with other postpartum professionals who really have a different philosophy around sleep than you do will be wildly beneficial, because you can refer business back and forth. Other referral sources include pediatricians, therapists, daycare staff, and just like general word of mouth, your past clients sharing your name with their friends. Lastly, online presence, social media, Facebook groups, websites, all of this is going to work to your advantage. I want to talk a little bit about income potential and lifestyle potential. I want to give you an actual rundown of the numbers because I think sometimes people don't realize really what is capable for you, not just for me, but like what is capable for you in this field, in this line of work. So I'm just going to use my own numbers as an example. I'm going to be really transparent. So when I support families for a virtual 2-week consultation, I charge $750 for that service. I am currently on average supporting between 12 and 16 families a month. That's somewhere between $9,000 and like a little over $11,000 a month. And that's before I schedule any Ask Me Anything calls. That's really good money, okay? And I'm doing it all virtually. Of course, it's going to take time to build up to this client load, but understand this is not max capacity. I want you to understand that before I launched Center for Pediatric Sleep Management, when I was just supporting families and doing nothing else, I was literally supporting 25 families a month. I didn't do the math on that, but I think it might be like, I don't know. It's a lot. Okay. I think it's like $18,000 or something crazy like that. And it's possible. Okay. It's not to say that everybody's going to get there in their business, but you have the capacity to really earn a good living doing this work and doing it from your home in your leggings and your hooded sweatshirt, not necessarily being in somebody else's home, which I think is really wonderful. If we sort of dial the numbers back to a more sort of realistic starting point, if you just had, let's say, 4 families a month virtually, that's, one client a week, which is very, very manageable. This would position you to earn somewhere around $3,000 a month. And obviously this is based on my pricing, but you're able to price your services however you'd like. I want to remind you that this can be done in addition to your existing work. It doesn't need to replace your work. It can be in conjunction with your work. And if your priority is really to get out of that sort of like hours for dollars work hamster wheel, it's going to happen gradually. But as you start to build a virtual consulting business, it will position you to sort of take on fewer overnights if that's what you're doing. This can become your main income stream. It also doesn't have to be. This is something that you can do part-time. It's something that you can do full-time. I want to run really briefly through what's inside of CPSM, what it looks like to go through the program. I'll tell you that it's all online, it's self-paced, it's a combination of reading and video content. People tell me that it binges like a Netflix series, which is the ultimate compliment. It's entirely comprehensive and evidence-based, and the curriculum will position you to support the youngest newborns and also children all the way up to about age 8, I like to say. The course is really geared towards infants, toddlers, preschoolers, early elementary age kiddos. But what I always tell people who are interested in our program is that, if you're learning strategies for a 4-year-old, there's really nothing different that you would do with a 5-year-old than you would do with a 4-year-old. And there's really nothing different you would do with a 6-year-old than a 5-year-old than a 4-year-old, right? So at a certain point, it's sort of like where you feel comfortable. And if you feel like it's outside of your scope and somebody reaches out to you, then you can always refer out. We're teaching all sleep training strategies, everything from very gradual and parent present approaches all the way through the more traditional stuff. We're placing a very heavy emphasis on business building and entrepreneurship. This is my favorite part about CPSM. I always tell postpartum professionals, if you never ever take a sleep client, I still feel entirely confident that you will get a complete ROI from enrolling in CPSM just because of what you're going to learn in our business section. You're going to be positioned to learn how to get onto a discovery call and really nail that call. You're going to learn sales strategies, marketing tools. You're going to learn mindset work inside of our course, which I just think is so important for entrepreneurs. We have a private Facebook community where you'll get your questions answered. There's opportunities for mentorship, networking, and continued education. You'll have lifetime updates to the course, all continuing education. We do not resell to our community. So if we are teaching something, we are giving it to you at no additional cost. There's no like enroll in this mini course for $150. We do not do that. Once you enroll in the program, anytime we teach anything else, you'll have access to it. I want to just really briefly touch on our CPSM culture and community because it's truly, truly special. What I see from graduates in our program is that they never feel alone in business. They have friends and colleagues in our community. Our online community is very active, and then there's sort of like side conversations and side friendships and side business relationships that if you decide to enroll in our program, I will make sure that I connect you with somebody else or several other people inside of our community so that you never feel like you're going at this alone. This is a big part of the CPSM culture. What else? I want to share a really quick, just sort of like success story, a CPSM success story. I don't know if I'm going to share her name. Her name is Sue McGlinchey. Does anybody know Sue? She's very active in the newborn care specialist community. She was wildly successful as an NCS and had to stop working during COVID. She was not able to work in person. And so she decided to enroll in CPSM. And she is now doing sleep consulting entirely full time. She doesn't do any in person work. She's supporting families entirely virtually. She lives in Florida, but she has clients all over the country. And she is just like rocking and rolling. And I'm not saying that your business has to completely transform. I don't want postpartum professionals to just ditch in person work for sleep consulting because your work is so necessary and so needed. But I also want you to figure out a way to have your businesses be sustainable long term. And what I'm seeing is that they're not. And so what can you put into place for yourself now so that 3 to 5 years from now, you still love your work as a postpartum professional and you still have the stamina and the energy to go into families' homes and provide the support they need and also earn a good living for yourself, right? I share her story because she's doing it and it's possible. It was possible for her and it's possible for you. Sue had no social media experience. She's a little bit old school. She's not a TikTok sensation or anything like that. She's just really good at what she does. And she's figured out new ways to support families that allow her to stay at home and earn the money that she needs to support herself and her family. I was talking a lot, so I'm going to take a breath. And I got through my notes, I think, pretty quickly. I would love to answer some questions and leave you all feeling like this is something you might want to do for yourselves. So if you have a question, just there's not that many of us on this Zoom, just unmute yourself and introduce yourself and ask away.
Hi, good morning. My name is Corinne, better known as Mama Dukes. Oh, my question is when we sign up for the program, most of it is done online, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's all
And
done online.
and when you finish the program, what certification do you acquire? Will it just be the sleep consultation certification only? And
Yeah.
what's the cost for the program?
Yeah, great question. So the course is all online, it's self-paced, you work through it on your own timeline. There's no time limit. So it could take you 4 weeks or 4 months. Either way is fine. I like to see people finish in like 4 to 6 or 6 to 8 weeks, somewhere in there. But if it literally took you 3 years, like no penalty, that's fine. To answer your question about like what you get at the end, it's a great question. Sleep consulting is an unregulated field, similar to
Mhm.
doula work, actually. And there's no governing body that regulates our field. So by the end of the course, when you complete the course, I get to call you a certified sleep consultant. That's what I'm going to call you.
Okay.
And so
All right.
you'll get a certificate and you'll get a little badge that you can put on your website or social media to share with your clients that you are a certified sleep consultant. There's no governing body that regulates the field. So
Mhm.
if you're exploring the field and you see other programs use the verbiage that they have like an accredited course, it's actually really misleading for them to say that because the programs that are saying that they're accredited are accredited by organizations that have nothing to do with sleep consulting. So
Yeah, because
you want to be really careful about that. I think
yes,
it's a
and
marketing
and
thing and
that's
it's
yes,
really
and that's the
fleeting.
problem.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I will go do a course, right? Because I'm a newborn care specialist for over 21 years, going into 22, and I'm a doula candidate now, starting off with a doulaship, right? But birth and postpartum. And when I submitted my certification from the newborn care specialist, one of the so-called accredited bodies said that my course is not recognizable. But the problem is um, the test that we did and all these type of things, they told us that it was a certified newborn care specialist. So I'm very skeptical now moving forward in any type of training that I'm acquiring. I don't want to be misled.
I totally
Ask
respect
myself.
that. You're smart to ask, and my answer is that I'm really honest and transparent. This field is
Mhm.
unregulated. There's no governing body. Programs that are telling you that they are accredited are, I'm gonna say it, they are lying to you.
Yeah,
It's not a thing. And ultimately, you should choose a training program that you feel is going to provide you with the most comprehensive and evidence-based
yes.
education and
Hmm.
also the highest level of support, right? Because a program can have all the little badges on their website, but all the little
Hmm.
badges mean nothing. So at the end of the day, who's going to educate you at the highest level, who's going to give you the most support, and who's going to really walk alongside you to help you reach your goals? Ultimately, that's the program that you should be choosing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't focus on like the badges on their website because it's all misleading marketing if you ask me.
Okay. Uh, All right. So I will get myself on the program. Thank
Oh
you.
good. Oh good. Any other questions? Oh, Rachel asked in the comments, do you mind repeating? You stated we received both a certificate and a badge upon completion. Yes, they're both digital that are emailed and they can be printed or you can just keep them as digital files to answer that question. Jordan also asked in the comments, have you ever known or had a client who travels for sleep support? Yes, there are definitely people that are doing this. I'm personally not, but if you can sort of build a name for yourself, then absolutely you can travel and do this work. Absolutely. If no other questions, I don't want to waste anybody's time.
I did have
Oh, you
one.
do?
Sorry, I was
Okay, go
trying to
ahead.
unmute and pull the
That's
bottle.
okay. No worries.
You said that you had more clients and then you went down to like what, 14 clients per month? Is
Yeah.
that only because of like the workload was too much, or do you feel like
Oh
there's a
no,
certain amount?
the reason I did that was because I started training other people. So now,
Got
my
it.
my time is divided. So when I was supporting 25 families a month, that's all I was doing. I was not running Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. Now that I'm focused on training others and getting them up to speed and supporting them through the process of growing their businesses, my capacity for supporting families in my one-to-one coaching business is lower. So that's why I think I could still go full throttle and do way more. It's just my energy is divided and split.
Okay, and have you heard of like sleep consultants working with agencies? Because I know a lot of the time, like postpartums, they work with agencies, newborn care specialists.
Yeah.
I'm
So
still
yeah,
pretty new to all of it.
yeah. So yes, also yes, and sleep consulting is very new. It's sort of like a niche space that a lot of parents don't even know that this service exists yet. They literally don't even know that it exists. My hope for the industry, for the field, is that just the way that almost every mom who chooses to nurse their baby, they use a lactation consultant. I
Hmm.
hope that sleep consulting becomes so mainstream that almost all moms are getting this type of support. We are not there yet. I think that as it becomes more mainstream and more common, more agencies will be a part of this a part of this sort of big picture. There are agencies that are working with sleep consultants, and also there needs to be work done on the agency side of things to offer this type of support, right? So it's new for them, it's new for parents, new-ish. When my son was born 13 years ago, if there were sleep consultants, I had no idea. Like, no idea. I mean, maybe there were some, but it was not as widely known as it is today. And I think still even today, a lot of brand new parents have no idea that this service exists. So it's going to take time that like parents catch on and that doulas catch on, or that doula agencies catch on. But yes, there are agencies that are working with sleep consultants, but it's not their primary focus yet.
Yeah, I definitely agree with it would be amazing for new moms to have this.
Rachel also asked another question in the chat. She asked, during your 2-week time period with clients, how many hours on average are you spending, with the written plan and providing support? This is a great question. So this varies family to family. I'm really quick with my sleep plans because I've written so many of them and I have basically templates for every circumstance. So I'm not reinventing the wheel. I would say that if I really don't have any distractions, like my kids aren't bothering me, the TV's not on, I can get a sleep plan written in 20 minutes. It's that simple at this point. I'm sure way back when it probably took me an hour or maybe more when I was first sort of getting into this field, but I can do it in 20 or 25 minutes at this point. I do a phone call to onboard. It's a 30-minute phone call and usually a phone call at the end. So 2 30-minute phone calls, maybe call it another 30 minutes to write the plan. And then text message support really varies. Like some families are very in touch and other families are not. I do tend to work with a lot of families that either have nannies or the babies are in daycare. I also have sort of niched down to toddler and preschooler sleep over the past couple of years, which is for 2 reasons. One, I just really love it. It's sort of like parent coaching. And also because the kids are in school all day, there's nothing to talk about, right? So I check in the morning, I check in at bedtime, and I don't hear from the parents all day because the kids are in school. So it really depends. Are you supporting a mom who's on maternity leave, who's doing nothing other than managing naps, or are you working with a mom of a 3-year-old who is in daycare or preschool all day? So that can look wildly different. I will say that the better you get at your work, the less you have to communicate with your clients, because if you write a really good plan and then you spend 30 minutes on the phone with them and really, really coach them through and answer all of their questions, they are positioned for success and they're not asking you a million questions. On the flip side of that, if you don't send them a clear plan, if you don't answer all of their questions, then you're going to be hearing from them pretty often. But regardless of sort of how in touch they are or how out of touch they are, it's usually those first 3 days that are a little bit more heavy on communication, and then it sort of teeters off. Most of the families that I'm supporting currently, I literally hear from them first thing in the morning and I check in at bedtime, and that's really it.
Is there ever any clients that after the 2 weeks they haven't been successful? And how do you handle that?
Totally. Yeah. It's sort of like I compare the work that we do to like hiring a nutritionist or a trainer at the gym, right? I can't do the work for you. If you hire a nutritionist and you meet with her once a week and then you're eating pizza and ice cream all day, you're not going to lose any weight. It's the same thing with setting boundaries and expectations around sleep for children. We can give you all the information, we can provide you with all the support, but at the end of the day, parents do need to do the work. I will say that most of my clients are successful, not all, because sometimes parents just don't want to do what they need to do to make a change. And that's okay. Part of my work, like I'm not there to sort of like bully them into changing the way they parent, right? I'm working actually with a mom right now who originally hired me for sleep coaching for her 3 and 6-year-old. She hired me without her husband's knowledge. He didn't want to work on it. And so now we are just working on like daytime parent coaching. And so we've like shifted the goalposts because they weren't aligned on how to handle sleep. And so now we're just working on daytime stuff. And I would also put her in the category of like maybe probably not going to be super successful, even with the daytime stuff, because of so many factors. She doesn't have a supportive spouse. She's really not willing to make the changes that we talk about every single day. And so at this point, it's like half coaching, half emotional support. And at the end of it, I don't think she's going to be mad at me. I still think she's going to be really grateful for the time that we've spent together. Every single time I send her a voice note, she loves it, or she, comments like, "This is so helpful. I really appreciate you." Nothing's going to change in her house, but she's really, really appreciative of our time spent together. And that's why, some of our work is not like, it is results driven, but it's also like support based at the same time. So also certain situations that I would deem like not a huge success, some of my clients deem a huge success because their goals are different than my, like what I would set for my own children. So almost all my clients make progress, but they don't always land in a perfect spot. And that's okay. Even the best restaurant, like sometimes doesn't serve the best meal. And, it's a part of doing business. And there's a lot of factors that are outside of your control. Somebody asked in the comments, what is the pricing for the course? So I think this would be a good time for me to run you through that and then also give you guys a little bit of an incentive to actually sign on before the end of the month. So the course is $2,700 if you pay in full. We have lots of payment plans if you're not in the position to make a single payment. And what I would like to offer everybody on this Zoom, if you're listening, is that if you enroll before the end of the month, so I think that gives you 5 days-ish, 4 to 5 days. If you enroll before the end of the month, I will give you a $250 discount. The code that you can use on our website is add-on-sleep. I'm going to put it in the comments. And that will save you $250 on enrollment. The code will work on all of the payment plans except for, we have a 12-month option that's $305 a month. So our payment plans become a little bit more expensive the longer you drag them out. If you can afford to pay in full or pick a payment plan with fewer payments, you'll save a few bucks. But the coupon code will work on all of the payment plans except for our 12-month option. The last thing I want to say regarding pricing and enrolling and finances is that I understand that the economy that we're in right now is tricky and tough, and everybody feels stretched thin. I also feel like in order to see a change, you need to make a change, right? Like if you're looking to change your business and you're looking to grow, sometimes it takes making a big change to see a big change. What I want to offer everybody today is that if the only thing that's keeping you from getting started this month is the monthly payments, I would like for you to email me so that we can discuss maybe a different payment schedule that fits within your monthly budget. I'm willing to work with you. I would hate for you to want to do this and money to be the only thing getting in the way. So if there's a monthly payment that feels more doable for you, that feels like it would position you to get started before the month ends, please send me an email. I'm going to put my email here. It's Jane, Jayne, at thecpsm.com. Please send me an email and we can discuss options to get you enrolled at a monthly price point that is comfortable for you. Does anybody have any other lasting questions? No? Okay. Perfect. Thank you guys so much for coming today. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend an hour with me and to learn what it looks like to do this work, but also how you can integrate it into your business and make it work for you. I hope that it was time well spent. And I hope some of you, if not all of you, will join us inside of the CPSM community. I would be so excited to be able to welcome any and all of you into our little crew.